Shabbat Shalom, my friends. In the darkness created by the massacre in Uvalde, Texas, I would like to share with you an Israeli poem adapted for today, but written more than 60 years ago. It's going to require a bit of paper shuffling. Ma varech lo b'ma yavarach. What shall I bless them? How should they be blessed, these children? Asked the angel. And he blessed them with a smile like light, and he blessed them with eyes big and seeing, to capture every flower and everything living and every bird, and with a heart to feel all these sights. What shall I bless them? How shall they be blessed, these children? Asked the angel. And he blessed them with legs to dance to eternity, and souls to remember all the compositions, and hands that gather shells on the beach, and ears to listen to the old and to the young. I've given them all that I could: a song, a smile, legs to dance, a gentle hand and a singing heart. With what more could I have blessed them? These children, they are now angels. No one will bless them anymore. They will not be blessed anymore. Elohim, 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 God, God, God. If only you had blessed them with more life. For everything there is a season, a time for every experience under heaven, a time to be born and a time to die. But God, these deaths shatter us. A time to plan and a time to uproot what is planted. Please, God, let us one day again see flowers and smiles. A time to tear down and a time to build up. God, we are torn. We need you to help us build, a time to weep and a time to laugh. Enough of weeping. We want to remember how to laugh. A time to grieve and a time to dance. God, we know how to sit in despair. Let us move toward hope. A time to throw stones and a time to gather stones. May we one day be able to tell our children not to do the former. A time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. It's so hard to know what to do now. A time to seek and a time to lose. God, give us the strength to seek again. A time to keep and a time to discard. Help us to hold on to the sacred. May we discard the inconsequential. A time to tear down and a time to sow. God, the needle and thread are yours. Mend our souls. A time to keep silent and a time to speak. Remind us, God, that we can speak. For now, when our mouths are open, we struggle not to scream. Zichronam livracha. May their memories be for a blessing. This is a SIYYUM day. Our Sedra is the last Sedra in the Book of Leviticus, chapter 26:3 to 27:34, Bahalotcha. Next week we begin the Book of Numbers, so we read the last verses. We read the last verses of Bahalotcha, and then we will say, Chazak, Chazak, V'nit Chazek. All tithes of the herd or flock, of all that passes under the shepherd's staff, every 10th one shall be holy to the Eternal. One must not look out for good as against bad, or make substitution for it. If one does make substitution for it, then it and its substitute shall both be holy. it cannot be redeemed. Ele ha-mitzvot asher tziva Adonai ad Moshe b'nei Yisrael b'har Sinai. These are the commandments that the Eternal gave Moses for the Israelite people on Mount Sinai. Chazak, chazak, v'nit chazek. Let us be strong, let us be strong, let us strengthen one another. Bahalotcha. Our text is brutally difficult, even as it concludes the lofty phrases of the Holiness Code. After first assuring the Israelites that those who follow the commandments of God will have lives full of blessing, in horrific detail we are then told what will happen if we are unfaithful to the covenant. The rabbis determined when this passage in our Sedra is read on Shabbat morning, it should be read quickly with no break for another aliyah. Let's just get this pain over with. What a Sedra. The blessings promise agricultural plenty, victory over Israel's enemies, and the unfailing presence of God in the midst of the people. The curses threaten severe, pervasive illness, famine so intense that the people will resort to cannibalism, crushing military defeat at the hands of Israel's enemies, a sense of anxiety so great that the people will be frightened even by the sound of a driven leaf. The passage concludes with the promise that even after the worst of times, God will preserve the special covenantal ties with Israel. Rabbi Jonathan Sacks made clear, painfully clear, what is going on here. There is freedom in the Torah, the freedom for us to shape our own lives, the freedom to decide whether we choose to be part of the Jewish people or not, the freedom to set aside the lies, deception, and corruption in our world, and to associate ourselves with the source of all existence, or not. We are free to choose, but we are never free to be free from the consequences of our choices. I'm reminded over and over again, you know this, of Oscar Wilde's The Portrait of Dorian Gray. Our hidden secrets, our moral and immoral choices do not and cannot remain hidden forever. We can choose to live as if we will never be touched by what we have done or by what we failed to do. But the universe is so constituted that our freedom to choose will never give us the freedom to escape the consequences of those individual choices. When we look around at the astonishingly dysfunctional world within which we live, there is a strong temptation to dress ourselves in the garments of a victim. I didn't do this. I'm just one person. I am a tiny cog in a mighty and complex machine. I don't live at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue Northwest. I am neither senator nor representative, governor nor mayor. The problems are too big and my resources too limited. I'm not an oligarch. I'm not even one of the 614 billionaires in the United States. So don't blame me. Don't blame me when our leaders cannot craft a set of laws that at least hold the promise of dramatically reducing violence in our homes, our schools, our streets. Don't blame me when the organizations to which we belong are outed for having a work environment that makes sexual harassment tolerable, if not encouraged. Don't blame me for seeing abusive behavior and not try to find a way to report it. Don't blame me for the existence of food deserts in our greatest cities. Don't blame me for the fact that our country's healthcare system is worse than flawed. Don't blame me for some of those troglodytes who sit on the Supreme Court. The covenant at Sinai was not accepted by a mass of anonymous people proclaiming Na'aseh v'nishma, we will do and we will hearken. That one voice was shaped first by a myriad of individual decisions, by choices that were made one by one. That one voice was crafted by a myriad of individuals who made moral choices, who took responsibility for the consequences of their actions. The biblical system created a people, a nation, but as Rabbi Sachs pointed out, a nation cannot worship itself and survive, and I would add, no collective that worships itself can survive. Sooner or later, it will collapse under the weight of corruption tolerated, injustice enabled, economic inequalities fostered, and blindness to every form of social justice promoted. In a free society, the free individual, free to choose, free to absorb consequences, free to declare that certain values, certain moral principles are not up for negotiation. The free individual is the cornerstone for the moral order. Sachs calls this the politics of responsibility. If we choose to tolerate what is wrong, if we choose to see ourselves as impotent, if we choose to blind our eyes and deal only with tending our own garden, then the consequences will be as dire as they are inescapable. Bring an end to the deceptive simplicity of victimhood. Then we can each, one by one, bring about the changes in our world that we know to be necessary, so that we can bring close the blessings in our Sedra and distance ourselves from the curses. Kain yehi ratzon, may such be our will. Chazak, chazak v'nitchazek. Let us be strong. Let us be strong. Let us strengthen one another. See you next week.